Welcome to DC. You know we got at the USA Cap. You're taking it slightly, I'm taking it slightly. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC. DC, the home of Chuck Brown. It's the city where the people hold the power. The district.
Pot, weed, Mary Jane, loud, bud, chronic, ganja, cannabis, marijuana.
115,050 votes. That's how many District of Columbia residents voted in favor of a marijuana legalization ballot initiative in November.
Cannabis is now legal to consume and grow within your own house within the district. The new law has been in effect for some time now, but the conversation about weed is sparking up in new ways.
My name is Adam Eininger, and I'm the proposer of Initiative 71.
Adam is no stranger to the DC political scene since arriving to the city in 1992. He's even ran for the shadow senator position on numerous occasions.
Thank you, Monsanto. Thank you, Elizabeth Warren. Too many votes are being sold in this building, so you might as well bring it out in the open.
It had been important to me for a long time because I was a marijuana user and I knew a lot of other marijuana users, and we were all acting like criminals for most of our lives while using marijuana. So we didn't want to be criminals anymore. We didn't want to be oppressed, be afraid of being arrested, and that's what really motivated me. We managed to get every single elected city council member to endorse Initiative 71. The mayor endorsed Initiative 71. The mayor successfully defended it and saw its implementation.
I'm KARL RACINE. I'm the first elected Attorney General of the District of Columbia. The Office of Attorney General was asked to review Initiative 71, an initiative that was passed by over 70% of the voters of the District of Columbia. That initiative proposed to make legal the possession and use of marijuana up to 2 ounces in a private house. DC residents like to have a criminal justice system that treats people equally. And the fact that there were disparities in arrest, in prosecutions, and in sentences for folks of color who were charged with marijuana prosecution was a big reason why Initiative 71 passed. There is a growing consensus, particularly among young people, that marijuana need not be criminalized anymore.
Even though Initiative 71 has passed, there are still seeds of discontent. Many stem from the cannabis business community. The sale of weed is still illegal in DC. Business owners and users have to find new ways to navigate the dank and cloudy haze. Corey Barnett.
Now that cannabis is actually legal, what we're really talking about is the taxation and the regulation of cannabis. And right now we exist in a marketplace where cannabis is, for the most part, unregulated in the district. You look at the business side of the cannabis industry in Washington, D.C., what we're seeing is that there's a tremendous amount of interest, for one. Secondarily, these are brand new entrepreneurs. This is one of the few industries that I can think of that's come along in the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 or 50 years where, you know, literally if you have the ability to make a product that can be infused with cannabis in any way, shape, or form, then you have the opportunity to really get that product to the marketplace.
KYLA Hill, owner, creator, and CEO at Get Hemp Butter. At Get Hemp Butter, we produce CBD-infused topicals that can be used for everything. People aren't really receptive to the idea of hemp being that it is related to the cannabis family. Having a CBD product that's so new and having so many different definitions of what it is, FDA calling it a new drug, the DEA considering anything from the flower or the leaf marijuana, which isn't the case.
Remember, the federal government still has marijuana on Schedule 1. Therefore, it is an illegal narcotic. It's still the case that in places like Colorado and in Oregon, those legal businesses are still hampered in their ability to use the U.S. banking system for their legal business.
One of those things that you have to disclose to the bank up front, you know, what your business is, that you're dealing with hemp or cannabis, and they have the right to deny you.
Family. That's been the theme here in the DMV community. Without support, some battles may seem too great, but with family, there is light at the end of the blunt.
Our stores were raided and shut down in October of 2011. It was a pretty traumatic experience. You know, 2 stores with 6 employees were arrested that night, along with a customer. While we were facing criminal prosecution, we continued to sell, and when the public realized this, they came through for us, and our sales were very strong, and it helped pay over $50,000 in legal bills.
A conviction, be it for a misdemeanor or a felony, has serious repercussions.
Just because weed is legal doesn't mean the use of it or the sale of merchandise is safe everywhere.
My name is Davis Clayton KIYO. I'm the owner and founder of MYSTER High-End Accessories. About a month ago, Montgomery County Police came in and raided our store in Maryland. They took all of our inventory, arrested me and my employees, charged me with 3 felonies, charged my employees with felonies, basically shut down the whole business. And the whole reason they did this is because we were selling CBD oil, which is derived from organic hemp and is actually federally legal. Right now what we're doing is we're giving away seeds, we're raising funds to cover the legal fees for me and my employees. There's a huge amount of support in DC, and it's completely legal in DC, but even right outside in Virginia and Maryland, the cops are still coming after people and still arresting people for this stuff.
With the proverbial towel removed from the bottom of the door, the future is promising in DC, but there are still hurdles.
We've read a lot in the District of Columbia over the last year about the hazards of synthetic cannabinoids, oftentimes called K2, Bizarro, oftentimes packaged in colorful packaging to entice young people to smoke it, is not marijuana and should not be confused.
It's adult use in the home only. And this just isn't fair to tens of thousands of marijuana users in the city that live in housing that prevents them from doing it at home lawfully. That's the new discrimination that's coming with marijuana policy. It's discrimination. It's predominantly low-income African Americans that are affected. Now, I know 50-year-old women that have serious diseases, that are living in public housing, that are part of the medical program, and every time they use cannabis, they have a near panic attack that they're going to get thrown out of their public housing. It just isn't right.
Unfortunately, on the business side, we're seeing that not very many minorities, be they Hispanic, Asian, or African American, are coming out of the woodworks and actually joining the entrepreneurial ranks. This is an industry that I really think particularly African Americans should take a very hard look at, because there's a tremendous amount of opportunity there. 2, we have the opportunity to rebuild our communities by creating jobs in this space and creating opportunities in this space. And I would caution every young brother or sister that's out there to really take a hard look at the opportunities being created in this industry.
Back in the day, when you wanted to get across town, if it wasn't the metro or if you didn't have your own ride, there were taxicabs. That was it. Today, everything has changed. There are so many choices for us to get from A to B, beginning with the letter U, as in Uber.
I've been driving a cab for 25 years.
Since 1989.
In more than 12 years. The reason why I'm driving a cab is it is a good opportunity to help a family.
You were your own boss. You could determine your own hours.
The most drastic nature of this business has been the introduction of Uber. It has affected every cab driver's income. Without exaggeration, between 20 to 30%.
In 2011, Uber came on the scene, rattling the ride-hailing business more than an old taxi.
The most difficult part is the fact that they are not regulated like we are.
The only problem that we have is the TAXICAB Commission and the DC councils, which they are allowed Uber and Lyft unfairly compete with us without any burden whatsoever.
Uber has to follow the same playing level like the cab drivers does. The drivers have to have the same thing, insurance like us, commercial insurance. They should have the same training like we have. They should have to have the same criminal background. And they should have the same inspection, which is a very hard inspection that they give to us.
Those so-called shortcuts have propelled Uber to becoming the ride of choice.
Most of the councils, they don't know it before. Now they do have a good ideas what is going on wrong and what is not. But it needs a courage to fix it. It is not only to talk about it.
There's actually a lot of talk about Uber in the DC Taxicab Commission. The commission is in the middle of this battle because they are actually tasked with making sure all of the ride-sharing companies are sharing the road.
The idea of getting a taxi by pushing a button on a website or an app or calling has always existed. What we've seen though is that the ride-hailing companies, through marketing and convenience in their service, have increased the level of awareness.
So the cab drivers, the problem for cab drivers, they let Uber cut in here. Uber could not have existed if the cab drivers were doing what they were supposed to do. If they were picking up people and taking them where they needed to go, but they weren't. They were not picking up black people, men or women, even if you were in a suit.
That very statement is the cause and effect of why it might have been so immediate that companies like Lyft and Uber could take away business from the taxi cabs.
People don't realize is Uber customers are profiled. They know who their customers are. They have credit card. The car drivers pick up anyone who raises his hand, flags his hand, so they don't know that person whether he's gonna pay them or not. So we go to a place where it's a very risky business that we take. I wouldn't drive Uber, one thing for sure. First and foremost, their rate is extremely very cheap. You cannot make a living if you work for Uber, even if you drive 10 hours. That's ridiculous.
The high cost of living may be why so many people were eager to work for Uber, but the company is constantly looking in its rearview mirror and in the news for the wrong reasons. These protests over low wages and lack of regulations are happening not just in DC, but worldwide. From cabbies clogging the streets of London, violent protests in France. The smoke barely cleared before news of a murderous rampage by an Uber driver in Michigan once again put into question Uber's background check. The U for Uber is, well, ugly.
What we've also seen is increasing number of safety incidents with our ride-hailing companies and drivers. So this is a good time for us to look at what has happened over the last few years, what the future holds, and collectively as an industry shape the rules that are intended to make sure passengers can move freely in safe, affordable vehicles for hire.
Well, they may get a bad rep from people who aren't able to capitalize off this type of service. Once again, the majority rules, and this is what the people want.
Early this year, the DC Taxicab Commission chairman proposed the X Class to help even the playing field.
X Class is a framework that the DC Taxicab Commission is proposing that would allow the different set of rules that are applied to ride-sharing companies and the different set of rules that are applied to taxis and limousine to merge into one set of rules for all vehicles for hire.
We are trying just to, at least to fill the gap between how we try just to make it better for our customers.
I'm very excited if everybody applies it. Because you can have an app, but if nobody uses it, what's the point then having an app?
Let us go uniformly. Not one part is regulated, the other one can operate freely. That's my beef with the way it is right now.
The doors won't be closing on the DC cabs anytime soon.
It is a change of thinking for the industry.
It will be up to 6 months before the proposal could even be put into law. And Chairman CHRAPPAH is keeping his eyes on the road ahead for the new ride-sharing companies and the taxi cabs that have been around the block a few times.
The future for a traditional taxi cab is so bright. What we are attempting to accomplish here is take a vehicle for hire that has been around for centuries and allow that driver or that vehicle operator to tap into the digital world. So taxis will always remain relevant.
What may have hurt us more than we even knew it would was the loss of Chuck Brown. Not gentrification or a lack of recognition. He was Go-Go. When he passed, a breath of music went with him. There is a sound, the sound of Congos. You hear it? That's Go-Go. Welcome to DC. The sound of Chocolate City. It's our sound. Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers, EU, Rare Essence, TCB, and of course, Mambo Soul. It's been around way longer than most of the people that now call the district their home. It's on us to make sure they hear the sound and know its past, present, and future.
First of all, Go-Go is feel-good music, you know what I'm saying? This is music that's coming from the soul. The percussion is like us as black folks, you know what I'm saying? Our ancestors talk to one another with the drum, and there's nothing like going to see EU or Chuck Brown.
Cat in the Hat, Run Joe, and The Butt put Go-Go on blast. Go-Go was hot, garnering attention nationwide with hits like The Butt starring Sugar Bear, whose first exposure to Go-Go was opening for Chuck Brown.
I said this might do a top 20, but it went up to be number 1, and I'm blown away. I'm still blown away because it's still being played today.
Cats were driving through the district blasting it. You could hear it on just about every corner from northwest to southeast. And the clubs were jumping, but it also built up a reputation, real or not, as a jump off for violence.
I've never blamed it on the music myself. Because the same thing could happen at a rock concert or a hip hop concert or a country western.
And now, Go-Go is still playing on a corner or two, but in the city known as the Melting Pot, these days, it's Go-Go that's dissolving. While the natives were mourning, the news of Chuck Brown passing may have been lost on the new Washingtonians.
Gentrification is really our own fault for not taking pride and interest in our own community.
Like another stage of grief, we were all in denial, trying to act as if the city we knew isn't becoming a new DC. A city of hipsters buying houses on the block, millennials moving into the newest, latest, and greatest condo, while the true people of DC are being pushed out and Go-Go with them.
Go-Go was 7 nights a week. You can go somewhere every night of the week and hear Go-Go music. Now, and even if you go to these venues, like, there was a time when Essence was so hot, they wouldn't play in small venues. And it was called, as they called them, wing spots. Now, bands just happy to play. They'll play in the smallest venues, and just want to play.
As musicians, we never started it for the money, but we were happy to be making a living, and now it isn't so easy. The crackdown on venues in PG forced go-go bands elsewhere. DJ Big John knows this all too well, as he was forced to close his venue, Marigold's.
It's a hobby now. It was a business. They done turned a business into a hobby for folks. If you don't love it, if you try to generate and you plan on taking care of your kids from it, right now you can forget about it. But there was a time when families lived and lived well off the money being generated from go-go.
The original bands are still playing with new life. Rare Essence represented go-go for the first time at the South by Southwest Festival.
It was crazy because, once again, a lot of people don't understand like how far this go-go music has gotten. Even before songs like The Butt, you know what I mean? You can take it back to Chuck Brown, Bustin' Loose. That was a national hit. To be the first group to actually go to an event like South by Southwest and kind of break in, so to speak, that was a history-making moment right there.
There are new groups and music sprouting up, sharing the sound with this new DC. You got Risa Renee and Frank Sirius singing with Team Familiar.
I would study, Bugs. I would study Junkyard Tapes, Rare Essence, Northeast Groovers, Backyard. I would study all them guys, man, and kind of develop my own sound.
Scooby, as he's also known, played for Chuck Brown.
I had to go home and tell my parents, like, Mom, Dad, I'm in Chuck Brown band. It was like, what, really? It was a surreal moment the first time we played because I kind of felt his energy and felt his spirit on stage. Then we played at the funeral. And every time we step on stage, I gotta pinch myself to realize that, people are looking at me as not the replacement, not the guy to fill his shoes, but the guy that ultimately is gonna carry on his sound.
Then there are groups. Black Alley is one.
People often think of us as a go-go band. I think they think any DC band with congos is a go-go band, but that's not necessarily true.
Put your hands together for Black Alley!
We are from here and we like to represent where we're from.
Who here has heard of go-go music?
And the JOGO project is the other, bridging the old with the new, led by another protege of Chuck Brown, carrying on his sound.
The JOGO project is a band that combines elements of jazz, R&B, rock, a lot of different styles of music, but the core element is go-go music. When I first heard go-go music, I was really listening to it as a style of music, but having played with a number of different go-go bands now and different venues, I'm learning and I'm continuing to learn that go-go is more than just a style of music, it's a culture. It's a specific sound, and when you hear it, you can't deny it.
Elijah's big break came when he was asked by the Godfather himself to play in his band.
When I got the call to play with Chuck Brown, I was definitely excited, but also a little nervous. At that point, I had mostly done straight-ahead jazz gigs, and I had only mostly heard go-go music from living in the DC area, but had never played it before playing with Chuck.
I would say right now my favorite band has got to be Black Alley. The thing about them is that even though they're rooted in go-go, they trail off into so many different genres. Like they'll do a go-go track and then it'll go into like a jazz track, it'll go into a soul, it'll go into some rock, and they give a really, really good show. And they really encompass the tradition of go-go just in terms of the call and response. So right now I think Black Alley, they're poised to break out. I really like what they're doing.
The go-go industry, as of today, is lazy.
Personally, I haven't heard any of the other artists or bands, rather groups or what have you, that you've mentioned other than Black Alley. I think Black Alley, they get it.
Go-go ain't dead, and a lot of people say that, but it's showing life support.
It's like in neutral right now. It's really in neutral. I don't see nobody really doing original music right now.
I don't think go-go's dying or will ever die. As long as the people of DC continue to support it and spread it.
Welcome to DC.
What I see is a generational gap. There's definitely some original music out there right now. You just have to be willing to listen. No matter how much the city changes its beat, go-go will always be a part of the Welcome to DC.
Welcome to DC.
Symbols of democracy are pinned against the coast. Outhouse of bureaucracy surrounded by a moat. Citizens of poverty are barely out of sight. The overlords escape near evening, the brothers on the night. Morning come and bring the tourists straining rubbernecks. Seem to me, spend a lifetime, leave one night up on 14th Street. Made me feel always the right time. Cause them people should not be loving me. Didn't make but one, second to none. See, it's the nation's capital. It's the nation's capital. It's the nation's capital. It's Washington, D.C. It's a massive irony for all the world to see. It's the nation's capital. It's Washington, D.C. It's the nation's capital. It's the nation's capital. It's the nation's capital. Washington, D.C. It's the nation's capital. It's the nation's capital. It's the nation's capital. It's Washington, D.C.